Welcome to Lower Elementary Classroom 3, otherwise known as LE3. In this room you'll be seeing information about anti-bias and social justice curriculum. So we're going to start with the video of the toddlers and then make our way through the ages up to middle school. My name is GM Hakim. I teach in the middle school, so you'll see my students go last. Basically, a few words about anti-bias and social justice curriculum. We know at LMS what skills are needed to solve social problems, and we also know that it's our job to help students develop those skills throughout their time here. So first, they must know how to care. Secondly, they must begin to think critically so that they can understand the issues. And then third, they must learn that they have the power and the skills to make the change. So, in this room, you're going to see some examples of how we help children grow into powerful agents throughout their time here who can solve these problems. We're going to begin with the toddlers, and you're going to see them practicing empathy by helping each other with some self-care.
Hi, my name is Junia. I'm a toddler teacher. In this video you're going to see a toddler spontaneously going around the table at lunchtime and making sure everybody has water to drink. And then also another toddler helping a friend, insisting on trying to put on the backpack in order for the friend to go home. So please enjoy.
Those are the topics. In Children's House, the students learn how their language impacts the well-being of their peers. There's learning the power of their words as they practice using language for positive interactions.
So prior to this evening, we read this book called Words in Your Heart. We base most of our lessons around a story. It's easier for our age group to understand. So before we start, I'm going to let my friends introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Audrey. Hi, my name is Lexi. Hi, my name is Julia. Hi, my name is Georgie. Hi, my name is Monica. Hi, my name is Gwen.
So we learned about put-ups and put-downs, right? So who remembers what a put-up is? Audrey?
Being nice.
Being nice. Malika? Saying things that make us feel happy, right? What's a put-down? How does that make you feel? Julian?
I hate you.
Something that's kind of not nice and makes you feel really bad. So, Malika, this is my perfect heart. I cut it out. Gwen, can you tell me a put down? Something that's going to make me feel really sad.
You're not my friend.
I'm not your friend. Yep. Malika, can you tell me a put down?
I hate you.
That's kind of really hurtful, right?
I'm trying to cry.
And Georgie, can you tell me a put down?
I hate
The rest of your life. Okay. Julian, can you tell me a put up? Something that'll make my heart feel a little bit better.
I love you so much, and can I marry you? And every group. Yeah.
These are not planned, okay?
Yes, they are. They're all planned.
We planned this? Lexi, can you tell me? Okay, we have to listen to Lexi's words. A put up, that's going to make my... Do I want to be your friend? That's makes me feel a lot better. And Audrey, do you have a put up for me? Can you?
I love you.
I love you. Makes me feel really good, right? So this activity helps us put something concrete into something very abstract for this age group. So they look at this heart. What does it look like? Even though all cracked, even though we try to mend it with kind words, it's got what?
Scars.
Scars, and
I
it
think scars.
doesn't feel the same anymore.
At the back is like a tiny.
Oh, there's a rip, yeah. Even though our kind words tried to fix it, it's still not what it looked like at the beginning, correct? So it's a mindful act. That's our presentation.
See?
In lower elementary, students learn that they can make change in big social problems when they work together and when they focus on the same objective.
Hi, my name is Mira and I've been in LMS for 3 years. I want to present to you the butterfly effect, Migration is Beautiful project. This year in our anti-bias lessons, we have been studying migration. Migration means moving from one region to another. Migration is something that many animals in nature do. Whales migrate, birds migrate, fish and turtles migrate, butterflies do too, and so do humans. Animals move from one place to another because they're looking for a better habitat. They want better living conditions. Birds migrate south following the warm weather. Humans migrate looking for work, running away from danger, or sometimes escaping a war. I learned that when humans move to a different country, they have to cross borders, and that is called immigration. Sometimes countries don't want people to come in. When that happens, people are stopped at borders and asked to go back. But we learned that people sometimes don't have a place to go back to, and that they sometimes even have to lie about who they are so that they can come in. In recent years, the United States has made it harder for migrants from the south to cross our border. People have to wait to learn if they are going to be able to get in or asked to go back in detention camps. Sometimes families are separated while they wait. The Butterfly Effect Project was an idea that 2 children in Oakland, California, named Kea and Lily, had to make sure that people know what's going on. The original plan was to make 15,000 butterflies to represent the 15,000 children that are in detention camps waiting to go. With the help of people like LMS students, they now have 30,000 butterflies. That's what happens when we work together. They are planning on showing them in Washington this month, and then they will send them to some of the shelters after that so that the kids there can see them. A paper butterfly looks like this. Butterflies for you to color if you want to be part of this. Just send it with your child or children to school. They all will know where to put them. Thank you.
Upper elementary students pay close attention as they think critically about studies of history. They look at stories from various perspectives, trying to see how different groups experience the same events.
Hello and welcome. My name is Callista and this is my 7th year at LMS.
My name is Christian and this is my 6th year at LMS.
In upper elementary, we have many experiences related to social justice and how to make the world a better place.
This includes thinking critically about our past and present. by viewing history and current events from different points of view, include perspectives that are underrepresented in most history books.
To help us with this, we have social justice lessons once a month with Maria Veronica Barnes, our Director of Diversity at LMS. For example, we started this year talking about immigration. As Mira said, we learned how families immigrating to the United States right now are being separated from one another. The adults are prosecuted and held in federal jails, while the children are supervised by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. We learned there are about 15,000 children held against their will in detention camps in the U.S. To raise awareness for those children, we are taking part in a project called the Butterfly Effect, Migration is Beautiful. The goal is to make 15,000 paper butterflies by November 1st, but the project has already more than doubled that goal, and our butterflies will add to that amount.
Maria Veronica also talks to us about stereotypes Native Americans face and how they are harmful and limiting. We learned about Project 562, which is focused on getting rid of those stereotypes once and for all, by sharing images and stories of contemporary Native Americans from over 562 tribal nations.
In addition to social justice lessons, we also learn to think critically in U.S. history as we study our nation's past all the way through the Revolutionary War. This includes learning about the diversity of indigenous tribes living on this continent before the Europeans came. This map shows only a small number of the many tribes that existed in North America. As a follow-up to this lesson, we recreate this tribal map by putting together a puzzle or by drawing our own map.
After reading more about local Native tribes, we hold a mock tribal council at the A-frame on our 19 acres. We debate how our tribe, the Wampanoag, should be at the Native American school or coming. I pass around a top and object like a rock to share our ideas, opinions, and solutions. This year, we were voted to send out scouts to see if these new people were friend or foe. And we also started to plan to defend ourselves if needed. This experience puts us in the shoes of the Wampanoag tribe to understand their perspective better.
To learn about the Age of Conquest, we read about what really happened when Columbus came to the Americas. We highlight important facts from an article called Columbus and the Indians from Howard Zinn's A Young People's History to the United States. It includes quotes from Columbus's journal, some of which are pretty horrifying, like how he punished the Taino tribe and subjected them to slavery. We then use some of this information to write a persuasive essay on whether Columbus Day should continue to be celebrated or change to Indigenous Peoples Day. Or we can choose to defend or argue against Massachusetts state seal. One major concern is the sword positioned above the Native American's head, which some see as threatening.
One last way we think critically about our past is our end-of-year 5-day big trips. When we traveled to Washington, D.C., we learned about slavery at Mount Vernon, George Washington's home. It was shocking to learn that Washington and his wife's family owned over 300 slaves, and the slave ownership was common for most of our founding fathers. We go to New York. We learn about immigration and visit Ellis Island and the Tenement Museum. And this year we're going to Maine, where we will visit the Aubin Museum in Bar Harbor, to learn about the history and culture of Maine's Native people, the Wampanoag.
Hello, my name is Claremont Luke, and this is my 6th year at LMS.
My name is Ewan Rossio, and this is my 11th year at LMS.
When we were in 6th grade, we did a role play of the trial of Christopher Columbus to figure out who is guilty of the crime of mistreatment and murder of thousands of Taino Native Americans.
The prosecutor was played by our teacher Seth, and the judge by our other teacher Mike.
Several suspects were questioned in the trial, including the king and queen, the system of the empire, the Tainos, Columbus's men, and Columbus. We will now be reenacting a small part of this trial.
You, Christopher Columbus, are charged with the mistreatment and murder of thousands, perhaps millions, of Tainos.
First of all, I'm not the only one that should be here today. King and Queen sent me here, and this is why. That's their fault. I'm innocent. They could have sent any person from Spain at the time.
It's your fault. Now, your first act in the land you say you discovered was to take possession of another people's territory in the name of an empire thousands of miles away. From the very beginning of your time in the Indies, you kidnapped the Tainos. In 1495, you started a policy of forcing Tainos, aged 14 and older, to collect gold for you. Those who didn't return every 3 months with the amount of gold you demanded were punished by having their hands chopped off. The list goes on. When you arrived on Hispaniola, there may have been as many as 1 million or even 3 million Tainos on the island. According to one Spanish priest, by 1542, there were 200 Tainos left. There's no one to blame but you. What do you have to say in your defense?
I, Christopher Columbus, swear that.
No swearing. There are children in the room. Now, what is your defense?
For my defense, I'm not guilty because King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella sent me here. And on my behalf, I was getting paid, and money is everything to a poor person in Spain. Imagine if you'd been the poor one who had nothing. Also, when I left a few men behind. I left because we needed more supplies, and while I was gone, my men killed a bunch of Indians. My men are the ones at fault, not me.
Native Americans, but yes, that is true.
I told you so, I'm innocent.
Ah, I'll get you someday, Christopher.
It's Columbus.
Thank you.
After this trial, the jury would go into the UE2 quiet room and decide who to blame for the crime. They gave the system of the empire 25% because the system of the empire was designed by the people of Spain, and the people of Spain decided to send Columbus. The Tainos got 5% because historians say that they didn't fight back against Columbus. They thought that Columbus was their friend. We don't really know what happened with them, but this is what historians say, so the jury set off. King and Queen got 20% because the King and Queen were the people who sent Columbus to so-called India on his conquest, and told him to do everything that he did. Columbus's men got 10% because they listened to Columbus, and they made very bad actions against the Tainos. And Columbus got the most blame at 40% because Columbus was the one who, first of all, came to Hispaniola following the King and Queen's order, told his men to do these bad things, and made very bad actions, and was not a good person. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sayla.
I'm Elijah.
So every 2 years, the middle school does a year-long focus on how people make change in society. And last year we learned about government, and we practiced taking action. So we went down to the State House in Boston for a day, and each of us met with someone in our representative and senator's office. And we discussed whatever topic we wanted to do. So I discussed having an option X on identifications. So here's what I said. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I have an issue I would like to talk to you about. On driver's license and IDs from the state, Massachusetts, have only 2 ways one can identify for their gender. M for male and F for female. There are some people who don't identify themselves as either of those genders. I know that there is a bill, S.2192, that is addressing this issue. It's important for me to know that everybody in our state is accepted for who they are and can feel that way themselves. So there's one action that I believe will help with this issue, is having an option X, as well as male or female. Thank you for listening and taking time for what I have to say.
I met with Senator Friedman and I talked about fair housing. It is a problem that the closer you get to resources and help, housing gets more expensive, and that people who aren't homeless could become homeless because of unaffordable housing, and people that live in neighborhoods that aren't expensive might not have good resources like good schools and work. People who have to go hours to get to where they need to be is unfortunate. These homes, if homes were cheaper and the state put good schools and jobs in towns that need them, a lot of people's lives could be changed. I asked Senator Friedman to support some bills. H12 6.3, which promotes fair housing. H1344, an act of promoting fair housing by preventing discrimination against affordable housing. S804, an act to update Chapter 40B to support the creation of affordable housing while strengthening local oversight.
So when we went down, we were all kind of shocked by how engaging they were with all of us. They were taking notes, they were responding to us, making sure we were heard, having conversations with us, making sure we elaborated on certain things. And yeah, let me talk more about that.
Yeah, so they really made it seem like they were understanding what we were saying and made it seem like it was important. And they were really like open to what we were saying, and they were really nice about it, and they weren't just waiting for us to leave. They were really excited that we were talking about it.
Thank you.
So I just want to show you a couple of pictures of what Thela and Elijah just talked about. This is last year's class out in front of the State House. This next two photos are photos of a group of students who lived in the district of their senator or representative, all meeting together with their representative. And some students were the only student who lived in that district, and so they got to have one-on-one meetings with their senator or representative, which is really, really nice. So they worked really hard on researching these bills and talking to representatives about it, and so that's some of their work. So, thank you all. We do have a couple of minutes for questions. If anyone has any questions for any of the students that you saw present or about anything that you heard tonight.
Did any of the bills that you promoted get passed or acted upon?
They're in the process right now.
I'm not sure about all of them, because I think we tried to look like we couldn't find a couple. Hopefully they got passed. I'm not sure why we can't find them.
It's funny because I've actually never looked at all of them.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas how to solve, or one idea how to solve the immigration problem?
Well, they're like in the process of trying to figure things out right now, and the 15,000 butterfly project is trying to like put all of the butterflies together to represent like how many people that is. Because when you think of 15,000, you don't really think of every individual person. You think more of like, oh, 15,000. But then once you have like an actual like visual of it, then it's like, oh, that's a lot more than you would expect. But I'm pretty sure that like in the state of like trying to fix everything.
How did it feel to play Columbus?
Well, I mean, it was kind of hard because I'm definitely against Columbus, but I was trying to get into how Columbus would feel himself about the situation. I mean, I don't really think he cared enough to go to a trial. I think he just, like, skip. But, yeah. So I was trying to get his perspective on it rather than my own.
Thank you very much. We do have one announcement by Mira.
So, if you want to pick a butterfly to color and help with the 15,000 butterfly project, you can just raise your hand and I can guess.
Great.
Does it have an end date?